Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to another of my lists. Now I generally focus on top 10 lists, however today I am focusing on a top 15 list, and it is a top 15 list of my personal favourite actors. Now I've got to tell you guys, this is a list I have been toiling over probably for longer than I like to admit. I've had like a list going, I've been adding names to it, taking names off it. I really did want to do a top 10 list, but I just couldn't get it down to top 10 actors. There were just too many to add to the list. Really, I could have easily done a top 30 here, is what I'm trying to say. Now, this list is not me saying that these are the best actors out there. That list would look very different. This list is my favourite actors. So these are like actors that over the years, either in my childhood or now, are films that I am particularly interested in if these actors are taking part in the film, or these actors have taken part in some of my favourite films of all time. So I would love to know in the comments, as always guys, who your favourite actors are. So let's get straight into this list.
Well, made mistakes. Then you had this. Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Now, coming up at number 15 on the list may be one that will surprise some people, but it's Michael Keaton. I think Michael Keaton is a criminally underrated actor. He's been consistently good throughout all of his career. I loved him back in the 80s, even before he made Batman. I loved him in Dream Team, all this kind of stuff. He's legendary in Beetlejuice, then obviously the Batman films, and he's just continued on and on and on. I think he's incapable really of giving a bad performance. He's always enjoyable to watch. He's got great charisma, and I just think he's a fantastic actor, which is why he's made my list.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate.
Coming at number 14 on my list, again, may surprise some people, it is Rutger Hauer. For me, Rutger Hauer, again, a massively underrated actor who made some incredible genre films back in the 80s and 90s. Wanted Dead or Alive, Blade Runner, Hitcher, Blind Fury, I mean, the list goes on. Always, generally, the best thing in the film that he's in. Great villain, but also made a brilliant hero as well. He could do villain and hero really effortlessly, and he was always really watchable and very charismatic on screen.
Will you stop? Just don't say nothing else to me. You about to make me fall, Ray. Hold on, don't say nothing. Oh, gee, damn, one of my toes in the bottle. Damn it, Ray. Yeah.
Now calm down, don't fear. It isn't Martin Lawrence that is making the list, it is Eddie Murphy. I just think Eddie Murphy, I've always been a huge fan of Eddie Murphy in his films. He was untouchable in the 80s. He just kept having hit after hit. The camera loved him. He was funny. He could do full-on comedies. He could do action comedies. You know, he just kept churning the hits out. He hit a bit of a bad spot in the 90s, but still managed to churn out some brilliant films. He's still going today. He's still really great to watch, and for me, he's an acting comedy legend.
Alonzo Mosley. Alonzo.
Now, if this was a list with the greatest actors of all time, then obviously Robert De Niro would be higher up on this list. I do enjoy Robert De Niro and I enjoy his films, but I'm one of these that might, for example, to give you my mindset on Robert De Niro, the first Robert De Niro film I ever saw was Midnight Run. So that's the kind of scenario that I saw him in. It's still my favourite film of Robert De Niro's. Yes, he's a brilliant actor, but I also think when he's one of these actors that he's not afraid to kind of do genre films or comedies and things like that. He's done so many different things over the years, tried so many different genres. He's very, very entertaining to watch, and he's still going very, very strong today. You still see him popping up in films. He's still great to watch. So therefore, that's why Robert De Niro makes my list.
I am out here for you. You don't know what it's like to be me out here for you. It is an up at dawn, pride-swallowing siege that I will never fully tell you about, okay? Just, God, help me.
Now, coming in at number 11 on my list is Tom Cruise, the one real, true megastar left in Hollywood, you would say. But a lot of people think that there's a lot more to Tom Cruise than the Mission Impossible films and the Top Gun Maverick and all this kind of stuff. Those are all brilliant films, and he just really does make like event films these days. But you look back at his career, and he's also delivered some incredible performances, as well as doing like the action flicks. Look at Jerry Maguire, look at Rain Man. I mean, consistently great. A Few Good Men, The Firm, great performances and great films.
I'm surprised you haven't heard about me. You know, I got a bad reputation. I mean, sometimes I just go nuts like now. Don't move.
Right, okay. Coming in at number 10 on the list is Mel Gibson. One of my favourites of all time. He's just done so many fabulous films. The 80s, it was Mad Max, it was Lethal Weapon. They continued into the 90s, and he kept churning out brilliant films. And then he moved into directing as well and proved what a fantastic director he was. I think Mel Gibson probably would have been higher on the list if his career has kind of gone off the rails a little bit these days, and we all know the reasons why. He's mainly churning out like straight to streaming or DVD, Blu-ray movies. We don't necessarily see him a great deal at the cinema anymore, but in his heyday, Mel Gibson was one of the top stars in Hollywood. And for me, an absolute bona fide superstar at the time, and I really, really enjoyed checking out the majority of his films.
This is pure nonsense. Doesn't prove a thing.
I thought you'd feel that way, Gary. You were the only one that could have got to that blood. We'll do you last.
Another actor who I think gets overlooked an awful lot is Kurt Russell. I've put him at number 9 on my list, again, because he's been in so many of my favourite films of all time. The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, I mean, Soldier was great. I mean, he's Tango and Cash. He's consistently good in every film he does. Escape from New York, he's created so many iconic characters. And for me, in his heyday, Kurt Russell was absolutely outstanding and kept knocking it out of the park. I still enjoyed his performances into his maturity. I still enjoy watching a film if Kurt Russell's in it to this day. He's always brightens up any film he's in, and for me, that's why he's made my list.
There's no crying in baseball.
Why don't you leave her alone, Jimmy?
Oh, you zip it, Doris. Rogers Hornsby was my manager, and he called me a talking pile of pig shit. And that was when my parents drove all the way down from Michigan to see me play the game. And did I cry? No! And you know why?
No.
Because there's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in baseball!
For me, it was easy to put Tom Hanks on this list. Tom Hanks is one of the, I think, top performers of the last 30 plus years. He started off as a comedy actor. Some of his early comedy roles are absolutely classic. And then obviously he moved into more dramatic roles, and he just really, really shocked everybody as to how amazing he was as an actor. He's been consistently great over the years. He's made some, I think, of the all-time classics. And I still thoroughly enjoy him watching him today. A Man Called Otto is one of my favourite films this year. So for me, that's why Tom Hanks clearly makes the list.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.
So coming in at number 7 on the list is Bruce Willis. Now we all know the tragic tale of Bruce Willis and, you know, his health and things like that these days, and we all send our best wishes to him and his family. At the time when Bruce Willis was on top of the mountain, he was absolutely one of the prime stars in Hollywood at his heyday, in like the mid-90s really. There was nobody really bigger than him. And he churned out some absolute classics over a 20-year period. The Die Hard films, obviously, despite the last one not being so great, but he's just such charm on screen and such screen charisma. It just makes a joy to watch him in an awful lot of his films. So while the last 5 years or so of his career will not be remembered fondly, he has certainly churned out some absolute stone cold classics over the years. Coming in at number 6 is Harrison Ford. Again, one of the greatest genre actors of all time. You know, he's been in some of the biggest movies of all time: Indiana Jones franchise, Star Wars franchise. He was again one of those untouchable actors. You know, Blade Runner, I think, is one of, if not the greatest science fiction film of all time. Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of the greatest action adventure films of all time. I mean, he just knows what he's doing. In regards to generally picking the right projects. Yes, he's made a few films over the years that not everybody might appreciate, but still Harrison Ford is a really, and I do actually think he's underrated as well. He's only been nominated for an Oscar once, and that was in Witness. And I do probably think that's his finest performance in a film. I like Regarding Henry as well as a performance, but he's absolutely brilliant. It does break my heart to see that Dial of Destiny is not doing well at the box office. But I do implore you guys to go and watch that yourself and make up your own minds, because it is not nearly as bad as people are saying.
You're not going to ask me if she got home okay?
She get home okay?
No. Took her to Mass General. They're pumping her stomach as we speak. What's her name? You don't know, do you? Okay. This is the point where usually I'd give you a chance to do the right thing, but not tonight.
Now, coming in at number 5 on the list is clearly one of the greatest actors on this list. I mean, for goodness sake, he's a 2-time Oscar winner. But for me, Denzel Washington is not just a great actor, because he's one of these actors I think that is incapable of giving a poor performance. He's also brilliant giving fantastic performances in films that he doesn't necessarily want to do. You may not know that he wasn't really interested in doing the Equalizer film. He was kind of contractually obliged to do it, but in actual fact he did it, enjoyed it, and we know the rest of that. He's done the sequels, and the performance he gives in that film, it just goes to show what an absolute true professional he is. And you look through his filmography and it's littered with absolutely outstanding films and memorable films, which is why he's on my list at number 5.
Sit on your knees!
My name's Stanley Goodspeed. I'm a chemical weapons specialist for the FBI. Glass or plastic?
What?
Glass or plastic? Glass or plastic?
Shut the fuck up!
Because if the winds change, if you launch those rockets, we're all gonna die.
Shut up!
And you're gonna end up in either a glass jar or a plastic bag.
Nicolas Cage, you know he had to make the list, especially if you know me. Now, when I was younger, I didn't necessarily appreciate Nicolas Cage, even though I enjoyed a lot of his films in the 90s, you know, the Face-Offs and the Con Airs and The Rock and all this kind of stuff. I think as I've matured, I've really come to respect and appreciate Nicolas Cage as an actor and a performer. Yes, he's churned out so many brilliant films over the years, but I really respect his attitude and professionalism, and no matter what film he does, he always gives it 100% and is generally always the best thing in the film. He's very experimental, and he's a real true actor. I was delighted to see that his career is getting a bit of a revival with The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I really enjoyed Renfield. The Old Way was a pretty good western. He's got a new film coming out as well shortly, a bit of an action comedy. So for me, that's why Nicolas Cage has shot up this list. 15 years ago, he probably may not have even made the list. But these days, I mean, he's become such of a meme as well, and an internet star, if you like. But for me, he's just an absolutely brilliant actor and a performer. And I just really enjoy, generally, any film that he does.
Rambo, this is Murdoch. We're glad you're alive. Where are you? Give us your position and we'll come to pick you up. Murdoch. I'm coming to get you.
Now we're getting into the top three, and anybody that knows me quite well will probably be able to guess the top three. Well, coming in number 3 is Sylvester Stallone. Again, a massive part of my childhood in the 80s and beyond, really. The Rocky franchise, the Rambo franchise, Demolition Man. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. He's just been consistently brilliant. Yes, he's had dips in his career, but he's always managed to come back and deliver, with the Expendable films and so on and so forth. Everyone's raving about this TV show he's done, Tulsa King, that I intend to check out at some point. He's just still knocking it out of the park, and he's getting on for 80 now. I mean, long may it continue, Sly. You're definitely a legend, and definitely deserve to be at number 3 on my list.
I'm a friend of Sarah Connor. I was told that she's here. Could I see her, please?
No, can't see her. She's making a statement.
Where is she?
Look, it may take a while. You want to wait? There's a bench over there.
I'll be back.
And coming in at number 2, again, no surprise for anybody that knows me, it is, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger. For a long time, my favourite actor. He was a big inspiration for me when I was younger in regards to going to the gym and all that kind of stuff. This is the guy whose posters I had up on my walls. For me, my favourite film of all time is Predator. I love the Terminator films, especially the first 2. He's just done so many iconic films over the years. I think Arnold, breaking into Hollywood and stuff from, being an athlete. I mean, he's had 3 successful careers. He's had a successful career as an athlete, a massively successful career as an actor, and a successful career as a politician. I mean, the man doesn't know how to fail. Yes, you could argue the stuff he's been churning out maybe for the last decade or so is pretty lackluster compared to his early work. But that's because his early work was just so strong. Some absolute classics on his filmography, which is why he's high up on my list.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But Ian, this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
And coming in at number 1, yes, it is no surprise, especially for you guys who know me and know my taste well, it is Clint Eastwood. For me, my favourite of all time. Such a massive part of my childhood growing up. I've got huge fond memories of sitting down with my dad, especially watching a Clint Eastwood film. I grew up on the Dirty Harrys. I grew up on his westerns. And then, Heartbreak Ridge, I think, is endlessly watchable, endlessly quotable. And they just keep going on. And then it churns out, films like Gran Torino, which are massively entertaining. Space Cowboys, that's really a lot of fun. Yes, okay, you could argue that over the years he's made some films that, have missed the mark. But, I mean, in regards to his presence on screen, I don't think there's anybody that has got the screen presence that Clint Eastwood has had. And then that's not even touching on his directorial films, the films he's directed. I mean, clearly he's a massively talented director as well. But for me, he's number one on my list because for me, there's never been anybody like him, and there never will be anybody like Clint Eastwood again. So I hope you enjoyed my list, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments who your favourite actors are of all time, and don't forget to join me next time on the channel for plenty more content.